He thought she was just another maid's kid, quiet, polite, invisible. So one afternoon, the CEO decided to play a cruel little game. He pretended to be asleep, waiting to see if she'd steal, lie, or fail the test. But what happened next wasn't what he expected. Not even close. Because in the silence of that room, while he faked his rest, she did something that would expose who he truly was, not her. And when his eyes finally opened, his entire world changed forever. It was another quiet morning in the mansion, the kind of silence that only money could afford. The hallways glistened with polished marble, the scent of imported lily hung in the air, and the only sound was the soft hum of the air conditioning. For most people, this was paradise. But for Maya, the young daughter of the maid, it was just another day walking on eggshells. Her mother, Angela, had worked for the Blackwell family for years, cleaning floors that sparkled like glass and serving people who rarely looked her in the eye. Maya would often sit quietly in the corner, doing her homework while her mother worked, invisible in a world too rich to notice her. The man of the house, Richard Blackwell, was a name people whispered with respect, a billionaire CEO known for his luxury empire and ruthless discipline. To outsiders, he was the image of success, calm, intelligent, in control. But inside his mansion, his eyes often followed Maya, not with kindness, but curiosity. He'd once heard her speaking to herself about dreams of becoming a doctor, and he'd smirked. People like her don't make it that far, he told himself. One evening, as the golden sunset spilled across the marble floors, Richard came up with a test. He told the staff he'd be working late, then retreated to the guest lounge. He lay back on the velvet couch, pretending to be asleep, just as Angela went upstairs to finish her duties, leaving Maya to tidy the room. Maya didn't know she was being watched. Her hands moved gently across the table, picking up papers, aligning books. Her reflection in the glass cabinet showed nothing but focus. But as she noticed the CEO's wallet lying beside his phone, she froze. A long pause filled the room, one that would change everything. For a moment, Maya just stood there, frozen. The wallet's golden edge gleamed under the chandelier light, reflecting right into her eyes. She could almost feel the weight of judgment hanging in the room. Her mother had always told her, "We don't touch what isn't ours, even when they think we might." She hesitated, then gently picked up the wallet, not to take, but to place it safely on the side table so it wouldn't fall. At that very second, Richard's eyes opened slightly. He watched her through half-closed lids, his mind whispering cruel suspicions. Let's see what she does now. But Maya didn't even peek inside. Instead, she noticed a photograph sticking out, a picture of a little boy holding his father's hand. She smiled softly. "He must love his kid," she murmured under her breath, carefully tucking the photo back in place. Then she wiped the dust from the wallet, laid it neatly next to his phone, and moved toward the door. Richard's heart beat faster. "She's not taking it," he thought. But the doubt didn't fade. In his world, everyone had a price. Surely she was just waiting for a moment alone. So he stayed still, pretending to sleep deeper, waiting for her next move. Just as Maya was about to leave, her eyes caught something else, a torn envelope on the floor near the couch. She bent down to pick it up, curious, and saw the company logo printed across the corner. The letter inside read, "Layoffs effective immediately." Dozens of names were listed, including Angela, her mother. Her fingers trembled. Tears welled up in her eyes. She hadn't meant to read it, but there it was. Her mother, the woman who'd scrubbed the same floors for 10 years, was being let go like she was nothing. Richard watched her shoulders shake and silently smirked. Now let's see if the halo stays on, he thought. But instead of anger, Maya did something unexpected. She folded the letter carefully, placed it back on the desk and whispered, "Thank you, God, for what we have. Please help Mom find something better." Her voice cracked, but her words carried strength, the kind of faith money couldn't buy. Richard's smirk faded. For the first time, he saw something in her eyes that he'd never noticed before: dignity. Pure, unwavering dignity. Suddenly, his phone buzzed. Maya turned quickly, startled. The movement made Richard twitch, his act nearly broke. She saw him shift slightly, but assumed he was just turning in his sleep. She picked up his phone, placed it gently beside him, and quietly left the room. The moment the door clicked shut, Richard sat up, staring at the door she'd just closed. The silence felt heavier now. He picked up his wallet and checked inside. Nothing was missing. Everything was exactly where it had been. Except his certainty. That was gone. He leaned back on the couch, heart pounding, realizing something uncomfortable, that his so-called test said more about him than about her, and he wasn't done learning that lesson yet. Because what happened next would break his heart wide open. Richard couldn't shake the feeling. The room felt colder now, emptier, like the air itself was judging him. He picked up the wallet again, turning it over in his hands, replaying every second of what he'd just witnessed. For the first time in years, he saw his own reflection and didn't like the man staring back. He stood up, walked toward the hallway, and paused near the servants' quarters. Inside, through the half-open door, he could hear Angela and her daughter talking softly. "Mom, I saw the letter," Maya whispered, her voice trembling. "They're firing you. After everything you've done for them." Angela sighed, exhausted but calm. "It's okay, baby. Maybe it's time. God gives and takes. We'll be fine." Richard froze. He hadn't meant for her to see that letter. It wasn't even finalized, just a draft he hadn't sent yet. Still, hearing the pain in Angela's voice hit him harder than he expected. He wanted to step in, to say something, to apologize. But how do you apologize for what you don't even understand in yourself? Then Maya said something that pierced him completely. "Mom, I picked up his wallet today. I didn't take anything. But for a second, I felt like he wanted me to." Angela's silence said everything. Richard's throat tightened. His face turned pale as realization struck. He had wanted that. He'd wanted to catch her doing wrong. To feel powerful. To justify his quiet, comfortable prejudice. He stumbled back, his chest heavy with shame. The next morning, Angela came into his office, her eyes tired but steady. "Sir, I heard about the layoffs. I understand if you can't keep me, but please, could you let my daughter finish her scholarship program? She's close to graduating." Richard looked up at her, really looked at her, and something inside him broke. This woman, who had every reason to hate him, was still thinking about her daughter's future, not revenge. He swallowed hard. "Angela, there will be no layoffs. Not anymore. And your daughter," his voice cracked, "she doesn't owe me anything. I owe her for showing me who I really am." Angela blinked, confused. Richard turned away, unable to meet her eyes. For the first time in his life, he felt small, not because of money, but because of truth, and from that moment, he knew no amount of wealth could ever buy back the kind of grace he had just witnessed. Weeks passed. The mansion that once echoed with Richard's arrogance now felt quieter, almost sacred. He no longer gave orders from behind his desk. Instead, he listened. Something he'd never truly done before. Angela was still working there, but now she walked the halls differently, not in fear or hesitation, but in dignity. And her daughter, Maya, came by often after her classes, helping her mother with small tasks. Richard found himself waiting for those visits. He'd watch Maya talk about her scholarship, her dreams of becoming a civil rights lawyer, her hope to change the system from the inside. Every time she spoke, he saw something he'd lost long ago: innocence, purpose, humanity. One afternoon, he asked her to sit down. "Maya," he said softly, "that day when I pretended to sleep, I wanted to test you. But it was me who failed the test." Maya blinked, unsure how to respond. "People make mistakes," she said carefully. "What matters is what you do after." Richard nodded, eyes glistening. "That's why I've set up a new foundation for underprivileged students, especially those like you. It's called the Maya Fund." She froze. "After me?" He smiled faintly. "Yes, because that day you didn't just prove your honesty. You reminded me of something I had forgotten, that respect isn't earned through wealth, but through integrity." Angela, standing nearby, covered her mouth in shock. For a moment, the room was silent. No pride, No guilt, just truth. Months later, the fund grew bigger than Richard ever imagined. Dozens of young students from struggling families got a second chance, the same chance Maya once fought for, and though Richard never bragged about it, his eyes would soften every time he saw her graduation photo framed on his office wall. He had built companies, empires, fortunes. But this was the only legacy that truly mattered. And as the narrator's voice fades, the screen lingers on the quote, "You can test someone's honesty, but the real test is your own humanity."